Hey guys, how's it going? It's Calvin Raab, and I hope you're having an amazing day today. And this is an exciting video because at the end of this video, you will know what you have to do to go and start investing in the stock market. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 7 different steps that you need to do in order to invest in the stock market. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I just want you to get an overview so you then can walk away with this video with the knowledge of how to invest in the stock market, because number 7 on this list is buy that stock, and you'll know exactly how to do that at the end of this video. So I'm excited. Let's get into it. Without any further ado, let's start jumping into the first thing that you need to do to start getting involved and invested in the stock market. Let's do it. And if you're new here, my name is Calvin Raab. I make videos all about personal finance, so if you're interested in anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe. Here we go, let's kick it off. So the first thing that you need to do is open a brokerage account. Now, this is something that you really have to do, and it's probably one of the most important steps when it comes to investing in stocks and different things like that. And the reason for that is because this is where you're gonna buy your stock. So a brokerage account is where you're gonna go to really control all your stocks. That's where you go to buy stocks, sell stocks, watch your stocks, and different things like that. And there are a whole bunch of different places where you can go to open a brokerage account. And if you just look online, there are tons of research of the best brokerage account for different people. Personally, I use TD Ameritrade, and I really like it, and especially for me, I like to do a lot of research on my stocks, and it has tons of information there, which I really like. Although, if you are someone who doesn't want to do a ton of research and just like simplicity, a lot of people that are beginners to the stock market do use Robinhood, and I actually also have a Robinhood account that I do check frequently just because of the simplicity of it. I look at their graphs. So if you are someone that is brand new, I still recommend Robinhood. I think it's a great thing to do. I have a link in my description that we would each get a free stock if you use that link. So I would love it if you would use that if you do choose to use Robinhood. However, I would recommend doing a little bit of research because there are a whole bunch of different brokerage accounts out there like E-Trade, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, and so many different ones. So I use TD Ameritrade, and just figure out what works best for you. And you're not tied to it for the rest of your life if you choose one and aren't too happy with it. I started with Robinhood like a lot of beginners, and I'm now using TD Ameritrade. So just start with one. There's no real secret formula to it. One isn't going to give you a much better deal than others, and just see which one works best for you. So step 2 is do basic research. And what I mean by this is just understand the stock market a little bit. So there's a lot of great videos on YouTube about how the stock market works, just so you get an overview of what is a stock. What does it mean to be a shareholder of a certain publicly traded company? And on top of understanding how it kind of works, this is just kind of getting familiar with the big vocabulary words that are used in the stock market and understanding, what are the big stocks that are out there. So when people mention something like NASDAQ, what is that? What is the S&P 500? What is the Dow Jones Industrial Average? This is just basic stock market research that you should really know before you start buying any stocks or anything like that. So just understand holistically what it is, and you can look these up in your brokerage account. You can start following them, adding them to watch lists and different things like that. So this is just do basic research. Number 3 is fund your account. So at your brokerage site, you will have to take money and put it in that brokerage account. And oftentimes, you don't need to go buy stock with it right away, because brokerage accounts will act like a bank account. And if it's not invested, that money will just sit there. So the reason that I kind of have this as step 3, if you're asking, why wouldn't we do this later? That's because sometimes the money can take a while to transfer. Oftentimes it can take, 3 to 5 business days for the full transfer to go through. Sometimes it is instant. Robinhood under $1,000, I believe, is instant. And this is just important to start funding your account so the money's there when you are ready to buy stock. Step 4, and this is when things get kind of fun. So this is do more in-depth research. And what I mean by this is in that basic research, you probably came across a few stocks that you're interested in, that you really want to kind of learn a little bit more about. Well, now is your chance. With this more in-depth research, you want to go into those stocks and really understand the information about it. So this is when you would pull up, say, let's go with Amazon. Suppose Amazon's a stock that you want to buy. Well, you're going to look at it, and then you're going to look at kind of the nitty-gritty details of it. So fundamentals that are there. Nothing crazy, but just understand a lot of the fundamentals. You know, what is their revenue that they do? You know, how much may they be paying in taxes? Are they hitting their quarterly earnings? You know, and just basic information about that. What exactly are they doing? Where is their money actually coming from? What are future projections and different things like that? This is all just to make sure that the company is sound. And if you did find some, you know, that may not have that great of fundamentals, then you may kind of want to take them off your list a little bit. So this is just looking at that list that you did start when you did the basic research. And as you do more in-depth research, you may find some more stocks that you're interested in. So this is all about really drilling down to finding the stocks that you actually want to invest in. And there's no secret formula here. I'm always buying new stocks and selling stocks that I thought I was going to keep for a very long time, but decided not to. So this is an ever-working process, but now it's just time to do a little bit more in-depth research. Coming at number 5 is create an investment plan. So there's two different ways that I kind of want to talk about this. This is general criteria as far as planning stocks that you want to buy, and then also putting a plan together of when you're going to buy those stocks. So as far as criteria goes, what I mean here is, what are the criteria that you have for the stocks that you buy? Do you want them to be, you know, slightly more risky? Do you want them to be big growth companies? Do you want them to have very steady revenue? Do you care if revenue jumps all over the place? Do you want them to be the industry leader or something like that? Are you looking for something a little bit more up and coming? Do you want them to have done really well in a recession prior? And just figure out what you want out of the company. You know, what are out of the stocks that you want? What is your criteria? If a new stock comes your way, what are you going to check it with? What is the criteria that you have going into this? And there's no need to really make this super detailed. Oftentimes I have rough ideas of what I look for in a company when it comes to revenue and different things like that, that just looking at the basic balance sheet and even just price action historically, I'm like, you know, that's something that meets my criteria. I like things that are slightly more steady on the up and up. I know there are things that I could make a whole bunch more that have a much more exponential curve when it comes to price action, but for me, I like something that are much more steady, and I kind of know what I'm going towards it. I also look at some riskier investments and everything like that. So this is criteria. The second part of this is coming up with a plan to your investments. So oftentimes with stocks, something that is so important is to always be investing stocks. So I would recommend coming up with a plan as far as every single time I get my paycheck or something like that, I'm going to try to allocate this much to stocks. And I think just getting in the habit of doing that, of taking money and investing it, taking the money you earn, putting it into assets is so important. So there's two parts of this: coming up with the criteria, and another thing on that criteria, it's more than just the stocks. It's knowing what kind of portfolio do you want. Do you want a risky portfolio? Do you want a moderate portfolio? Do you want a conservative portfolio? So that's one more to take into consideration. For me, I would say a moderate portfolio. It's riskier in the fact that I am involved in tech, but it's conservative in the fact that I do have a few conservative municipality bonds thrown in there, and also the ones that I do invest in tech are companies that I do really trust. I'm not really one to go invest in startups and companies that have just IPO'd and different things like that. So come up with the criteria both for the stock itself and your portfolio as a whole. So this one was all about just setting up a plan. And remember, don't get too hung up on this. It doesn't have to be too detailed. Step 6, we're almost there, and now that you've done everything else, it's now time to find the stocks that you want to buy. So basic research should have brought a few about, and then your more in-depth research should have whittled it down, and then when you created your investment criteria as far as what you want your portfolio to look like, and also what you look for in a company, then you are now really whittling it down to decide the stocks you want to buy. So maybe you had a bunch of different stocks and you chose some of your favorite risky ones, favorite conservative ones, favorite moderate ones to create this portfolio that works for you. And everyone's portfolio is going to look a little different in the fact that everyone has different risk levels and different things like that. So now it's time to really whittle it down, knowing, what is my portfolio going to look like? For someone that is beginning and kind of just on the up and up here, I recommend going more conservative. As you kind of get the hang of it a little more, you may know how to spot companies that may be on the up and up, but in the beginning, invest in the key staples of the economy at large. Get a few big indexes, something that tracks the S&P 500, tracks the Dow Jones or something like that. So when you check your stocks, you have an idea of what the market's doing that day. All right, so step 7, and after this I'm going to go over 3 different things that you should do after you buy your first stock, because that's just as important as anything else here. You want to continue having success after this. But step 7, as I said in the beginning, this one is buy your first stock. So now you've done everything. You can now go in, you've got that brokerage account that is now fully funded. You've now had an idea of what stocks you want to buy. You can now go in there and you can buy your first stock. And then after that, you are a shareholder of whatever company you just bought stock for. So if you bought Apple stock, you are now a partial shareholder of Apple. And congratulations, you did it. So as you can see, this isn't that complicated. And oftentimes it can seem very intimidating at first. And as you keep checking your stocks, I recommend checking it, every day. Just take a quick little glance at it, see how it did. Always be kind of researching the economy and business in general. And you'll be able to find new stocks to invest in, or if you just want to, if you like what you have, continue adding to that and adding shares through that. So you are now invested, and now it's time to take the next few steps. I want to go over 3 different things that you should do after you buy your first stock. The first thing you should do after you buy your first stock is watch, but don't panic. So what I mean by this is oftentimes it can be a little emotional in the fact that, you bought all these stocks and then it starts losing money. And that's something that can really bother a lot of people. So it is important to really try to disassociate and remove yourself from the emotion that you may have over these stocks, because as you'll find a lot of times when stocks do start to drop, they start to really dip because people do get emotional and they start selling. And for me, I just remember that, hey, I'm kind of in this for the long game, and it's gonna go back up. This is a company that I know is good and a company that I do trust. So that's part of the don't panic. Watch it, see what happens, and you'll start to see how emotions really do play a large role in the stock market. The second thing you should do after you've already bought your stocks is grow your portfolio. So you're just getting started. Now it's time to really start adding and really start growing that portfolio. You have a great little snowball that you've started, and you want to roll it a little more, because as you keep going, eventually it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to roll down the mountain on itself. You guys liking the analogy here? So just keep going. It's going to keep growing and keep adding to that. Keep taking your money, putting it in these stock assets, and allowing that to grow. And the main thing here is just give it time. I think so many people, when they get into stocks, they want it fast. They want to make tons of money really quickly. And oftentimes the easiest way to make money is just by investing in reliable companies and allowing that to make you money in the long run. The third thing that you should do after you buy your first stock, and this is also one of the most important things, and that is have fun. And that may sound weird and different things like that, but it is actually fun. I really, really love investing in the stock market. I think it's amazing that I have the opportunity to invest in so many different companies. And the thing that I like about it almost the most is it allows me to keep up to date with different companies. And I'm an economics major. I love studying the economy. I love studying business, both academically and being involved with it in a more hands-on scale through work and different things like that. And this allows you to do that. It allows you to touch in different companies. You know, I have an idea of how the economy is doing all the time, and I think that's something that's really, really cool about it. And it's great you're also making money at the same time. So if you can, I know it sounds hard, but just try to have fun with it. All right, so that will wrap it up. Those are 7 different steps that it takes to get fully invested in the stock market. And then after I gave you a nice little bonus of 3 that goes over what you should do after you buy your first stock. So I hope this was helpful. I know the stock market at first can seem very confusing and complicated and different things like that, but I hope this allowed you to simplify it, that the process of at least getting invested in the stock market is not that complicated. And you'll learn a lot over time as you are invested, checking up on stocks and just paying attention to stock market news and different things like that. But if you have any questions at all, I would love it if you would let me know. I will go in the comments below, answer you guys. Let me know if you have any thoughts, or even if you have any recommendations or tips that you have for maybe beginners or anyone like that. Just let me know down there. Getting involved in the stock market is something that everyone should do, and it's important to kind of get off on the right foot. So if anything you want to say, anything you want to ask, let me know down there. I love talking to you guys in the comments below. So I will enjoy talking to you guys down there, but for now, that will wrap it up. If you're new here, my name is Calvin Raab. I make videos all about personal finance. So if you're interested in anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe. But that will wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Calvin Raab. I truly appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you soon. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. So I'm going to move to the corner of your screen here. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you are going to see my most recent video. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see a video that YouTube and I each think that you would like. And if you haven't yet, you can hit my face right here and subscribe. As always, my name is Calvin Raab, and I'll see you soon.